Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 416. Today we're doing Battle in a Ruthless Rumble. And so if you're wanting to skip ahead to the gameplay, today we're going to be playing Mount Targon Fizz, we're going to be playing Jax Ornn, and we're going to be playing Kennen Jinx. So if you're wanting to see the games, that's what we're going to be doing battle with. If you want to sit around and hear me talk about the format for a little bit and talk about our lineup a little bit more, that's what we're going to do for the next couple of minutes. And so the big thing I feel like that's really going to help shape the rest of the Ruthless Rumbles for the day. Sorry they're gone as the video is released, but at least in the remainder of the day for me, but also with the upcoming Runeterra Open, that's a Worlds qualifier as well, is what do we think about Siren Song? Is there going to be a hot fix to Siren Song like we saw happen with concurrent timelines in the previous format? And taking a peek at the results of the Mastering Runeterra Open, along with how I kind of generally feel about the format in Siren Song, I feel like there's just been kind of an overreaction in general, and whenever a new card comes forth and becomes the best deck, it takes people a little while to figure out how to manage it, and it's just very popular to freak out and make a giant hot take on everything in terms of the strength of these cards. And so I don't know if it's just because I'm getting into boomer age, or if it's just the way that people talk these days, and I just don't handle it well. But it's tough for me to tell if people are making a hot take and being serious, or if they're making a hot take just to, kind of get clicks and get views, and that's the way that you up your Twitter ante, is by having the spiciest take all the time. And so it's very tough for me to kind of analyze the kind of general consensus and the general feeling of the community around cards like Siren Song, because it's always just over the top hyperbole in terms of how excessive it is. And so I think it was kind of nice having the Mastering Runeterra Open event turn up. If you're wanting to catch the results from it, they aren't on the website, at least on today, on Sunday, but it's very easy to find all of the stuff on their Discord. And so if you go to the Mastering Runeterra site, click around until you find their Discord, that's the easiest way I have to find the results and everything and all of the deck lists. But to long story short there, we didn't see any of this nonsense to where people are playing 3 Siren Songs decks, right? People aren't playing Evelyn Diana and then Mount Targon Fizz and then Aatrox, or they are playing the Poro King in this event, but we aren't seeing that just fully loaded Siren Song lineup. And as the format kind of evolved, people figured out the Evelyn deck with silences. They're starting to figure out the Fizz deck by being in Demacia and playing elites and misfortunes and whatever. And so I think that as this next week progresses, we're not going to see any changes to Siren Song. And then in the balance patch 2 weeks or 3 weeks away, however long it'll be, I think that that's where we'll start to see some potential changes to the Siren Song, whether or not it's upping it to 5 mana, which seems pretty reasonable, or if it's potentially kicking away a point of health off of the upgrades, which wouldn't nerf it to oblivion, but I think it would start to really limit it in terms of only being played in Husk decks, where it kind of more realistically is supposed to belong. But nonetheless, to start speaking to our best of 3 experience here, again, we kind of found out in the previous event, I was kind of like flip-flopping if we were in this space to where we just had to ban out the Mount Targon Fizz deck. I made a lot of notes that I didn't feel like it was ultimately necessary. I feel pretty decent playing the mirror match. Jax Ornn was fine against it, and Samira Pantheon are fine against it. They're kind of even to slightly unfavored, but it's certainly a match that we can go and play and not feel absolutely horrendous about. And so with our lineup there, if we ran into something like Samira Jinx, we could ban it out. That's a nightmare for both Ornn and Pantheon. Or if we ran into a deck, just like obnoxious control deck that you'll occasionally see, like playing Articuno or whatever, we can just ban that out as well if we need to, and leave that Mount Targon Fizz deck up and not feel terrible about it. And so now I've just kind of expanded out on that, and I feel like we're just going to leave it up regardless. I don't feel like there's really a necessary ban for it, and that's going to leave us kind of in a space to where we can play the mirror against the opponent if they bring it. Again, I feel fine with that, but if they're bringing some kind of lineup targeting the Mount Targon Fizz deck, then we can potentially ban out one of those worst matchups. And so as we got beat by Pushy Pie in the last round of the Ruthless Rumble in the previous video, he was bringing a lineup of the Mount Targon Fizz and then the Scouts and then the Elites, all looking to just gang up on our Fizz deck. I think that it feels a little bit better now being able to take one of those decks out of the equation. And so I do like the addition of the Kennen Jinx deck. We don't have a video on the channel for it just yet. I'll get one up in the next week, but I think it's going to be in a nice space. I like how it feels. It has a lot of the elements of decks that I really like, and it's one of these decks I was initially looking at and being like, wow, this Kennen card's just stupid in here. And then as I played it, I was like, it's like, this Kennen actually makes a lot of sense with the discard elements and then even flipping into lightning rushes and stuff. It's very interesting and strong. And so, nonetheless, let's get these deck lists pulled up again real quick. There are some changes from yesterday, so we will want to stop and talk about it. This is our Jax Ornn list. Again, this is kind of designed to beat up on decks that go wide. And so if we're looking to have to play against Mount Targon Fizz, if we're going to have to play against things like Norra, we need to be able to overwhelm through the opposing board, which the Ice Veil Cultist allows us to do. And then we also have the big removal spell and Bellows Breath to clear out the opposing board. And then we have the Ruthless Raider, which can survive Bellows Breath, but also allows us to put a big equipment on it at the end of the game and still chunk in overwhelm damage. And so you don't always see this cycle of cards between the Raider, the Cultist, and the Bellows Breath. I like it because those width-based decks are popping up. In terms of the remainder of the format, we do have Three Sisters and the Unforgiven Cold as our interactivity package. These are here to limit the Zolanis of the world, shrink up a big pantheon, whatever we need to stop that big singular unit. And so we have a little bit of flexibility with the Bellows Breath handling the width and then the Frostbites handling the tall boys, if you will. Up next, we have the Fizz Mount Targon deck. Made some edits to this. This is more similar to what we were seeing a lot of coming out of the Mastering Runeterra, or I'm sorry, yeah, the Mastering Runeterra Open. There we go. A lot of the people in the top 8 were playing this style where you're only playing 1 or 2 Zolanis, you're playing 1 or 2 Kales, and then you're playing 2 copies of the Winding Light. And I think I'm on board with this. And so the version we were playing previously, we were playing more Cycle. We were playing 3 copies of Guiding Touch, and I feel like we had maybe 1 other card in here to cycle through our deck and help us find our big cards like Siren Song. But this adaptation is just kind of in the sense to, well, you know, if we've got the big upgrades, if we have this big Reaver's Row happening on board, those units are all, you know, kind of blockable, especially if you're playing the mirror match. It's very easy for an opposing Fizz deck to just block all of your units even after you pop with the Reaver's Row, but coming in with the Winding Lights allows us to still come in and overwhelm through. Or if we're in one of these games to where we haven't hit a Siren Song or haven't hit a Reaver's Row, it still makes our units combat ready, if you will. And so with that in mind, with the addition of the more Nightfall cards from the Winding Light, I have switched around our 1-drop package to also include the Lunari Duskbringer. The Dust Petal Dust is just so much more relevant when you have the Winding Light in your deck, allowing you to play him on turn 6 instead of turn 7. And so we have brought him in. I didn't feel like it was enough when you're just playing the Moonlit Affliction and the Pale Cascade, but now that we also have the Winding Light, I think it's much more important. Last but not least, we have the Kennen Jinx deck. This has, you know, a lot of the things that I really enjoy in this format. I really love coming out here and being aggressive. I love sending the burn to the face, and this deck is exceptional at all of that. And so, again, I've become quite fond of Kennen in this deck. He just does quite a bit of work. He brings this Mark of the Storm to your hand that you can discard to something else. He has quick attack, so he can attack into opposing Fizz boards. His flip is extremely relevant in Lightning Rush, being a burn spell, but you can also Lightning Rush a unit out of combat, and then maybe not let your opponent life gain from a life steal unit or something. There's just lots of interesting combos that turn up with Kennen. Otherwise, I really like these burn packages with the Electro Harpoons, Blowback, and Mystic Shot, as a lot of the decks in the format just don't play any heal. They give us a lot of reach that the opponent just can't do anything about, and so I'm all about it. And so, those are the decks. That's what we're doing battle with today, but you know what we got to do before the battles begin. We got to go and pay the pay-to-win price, and I was surprised with the Returno Wrench. I know we played the Returno Wrench before. We featured this in one of our videos, but we didn't turn it premium. We turned something else premium, and so I don't know. Mistakes might have been made. We've definitely fixed them, though. We don't have to we don't have to worry about that mistake anymore. Our unit nice and premium. Now we're off to the party. So the 1-drop party here. The Is It Eternal? Maybe, maybe not. Now Kennen Jinx. Okay. Off to battle we go. Good stuff. Nice collection of decks here. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of success. Pretty tough run yesterday. A lot of good games, a lot of great games, a lot of great matches, a lot of tough opponents. Definitely a fun set of Ruthless Rumble. I'm curious how the competition is going to look on the last day of the format out here. Not to say that the best of threes are gone. You can that just switches from the Ruthless Rumble into the just the regular best of three starting today for you, I guess. But it's exciting stuff. I've missed it. I must say that like Heart of the Huntress came out, and you don't really click on the gauntlet button during the first week. Like, you know, you're out there brewing it through new decks, seeing what the format's going to feel like and everything. And then after, 3 or 4 days, I was just ready to jump into best of three. I wanted to start getting into those, but it's like it wasn't there, man. You click on the gauntlet and it's just best of one, and you're like, dang, like I don't want to play best of one. And so I just wanted the trophies, so I would just queue up and then cancel out. But day after day after day, I would look at it and be like, man, where's the best of threes at? So glad that they're here. But all right, into this one. This is a kind of topic we talked about in our previous video as to whether or not we want to leave the Norra deck up if the opponent has the Fizz deck out and about. And I think we're just going to ban Norra from here on out. And so I'm more than fine to go ahead and remove her from the opposing lineup. All of our matchups against Karma Sett are fine. And then this Aurelion Soul number down at the end, I think we have to worry about it a little bit. But the ramp decks typically have some issues when we're out here playing a lot of width or a lot of aggression, and so hopefully it's not going to be too problematic for us. All right, so reasonable start. I'm going to keep the Reaver's Row and the Solari Soldier, get rid of everything else, try and dig for more of our high-powered cards. This will let us, since we're on the even attacks, we can play this kind of meaty Solari Soldier on turn 2. Still get that 3/3 attack in. And then we can kind of decide from there who we want to add in. We don't really want to be slamming down Fizzes on turn 1 or turn 2 against Karma Sett and then just having removal spells to take him down.
Devotion to battle.
All right. Soldier in. On to the next turn. So we'll see. I feel pretty fine here just slamming the Siren Song down, even if the opponent has a deny. We're ready to go on the next turn with just the Reaver's Row coming in. And so if this pops off, great. If it doesn't and he has the deny, we still get a reasonable amount of tempo from this thing hitting the board, and so that feels kind of decent as well. What do we got in here? We hit a Fury. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this Fizz. He's ready to get all Vin Diesel out here. He's ready to get fast and furious. Can't wait, man. That final movie, I don't think it's out. I've really kind of slipped in terms of in terms of keeping up with Dominic Toretto and when the movie is going to come out and everything. I don't think it's out yet, but I think it comes out in like July. This is July. Maybe it does come out in July. I don't remember. But nonetheless, back to this. We'll go ahead and send in Fizz. If he starts dropping removal spells, it's okay. I don't feel a big necessity to try and protect him this turn. We were looking to mainly just get the Reaver's Row down, so as we roll into our next turn, all the units be getting big and ready to combat on our attack token. I could see an argument for taking the line of dropping Pickpocketer and then having the Nightfall ready for Pale Cascade. It just doesn't feel very high impact to do things like that. Alright, well, gotta just take the Sett down off of the board. We might find ourselves able to win the game on this next turn with a Playful Trickster attack. We're gonna have 15 power on board. Gotta be real though, it's probably just a little easier and safer to go with the Moonlit Affliction. Like, we play a Pocket Picker, opponent plays a unit, and then we just look to get the Silence attack in. Maybe not. I mean, I was thinking in terms of we're just gonna have one unit on the board, but if we're wanting to add in Divine Clerk as well, that's kind of nice. But the downside here is if he has a way to counter the Playful Trickster, then we just kind of lose the game. I'm just gonna send like this. I don't think we'll get the kill here. Very easy to just have a removal for the Pickpocker and then, oh, ooh, maybe not. Say he's gonna be just short of. You're gonna be at exactly lethal if he had a spell for the Pickpocker, and so Pickpocker, Pocket Picker. Oh my God, why do they make me say these words? You already got this dumbass accent. Makes you sound like a moron, and then out here trying to say pocket picker over and over again. Fuck you, Riot. It's probably something that the intern came up with just to fuck with us, and so dick. All right. Nonetheless, as far as this action goes, I need to get a little bit more experience with this deck. That's why I'm playing the second. I'm most certainly happy to get rid of Electro Harpoon, but it starts like this to where I haven't completely decided on what we should be doing in terms of, do we really want to hang on to Kennen? Because we're going to look to get this Squeaker down, and it is nice to play Squeaker and then discard the Mark of the Storm, so we aren't really losing out on a card. But I'm not certain on that keep. I need a little bit more experience out here. But I think we definitely want to get as aggressive as we can. We'll play the Squeaker, discard the Jury Rig. The Smash and Dash is a very meaty unit to add to the board next turn. That sounds good to me. And then opponent, has removal spells. They have 2-cost Mystic Shot-like things to take down the Squeaker, but we shouldn't have to worry about a unit this turn. There's not a unit in the opposing deck that can block Squeaker and get a kill. Okay, Forge Chief goes down. Squeaker comes in. Another combo with the Squeaker is if he's on board, you do get that kind of bonus attack if you need to physically play the Mark of the Storm. And so we might see that come into play on turn 4. If we want to add Kennen, play Mark of the Storm, and get an extra point of damage in from the Augment. There's so many little combos that come out of that thing, it's fantastic. Alright, we're going to be big boarded though. Add in the Smash and Dash. We actually have 4 units we can add to the board for this next attack. We'll have to see if we're going to get them all down. I don't want to just like discard Flame Chompers for no reason, but I also don't really want just this Boom Baboon hanging out. It's like he's gonna kill off a unit for us. Or is he just setting this up so he has a block onto the Smash and Dash? Because that is a slow spell, right? You can't play an Aftershock in combat. We still get to 2 points of damage in that way. That's not a terrible feeling. See how that goes. If he points a spell at the Squeaker, then we'll hang on to the Mark of the Storm. Otherwise, he plays a tag out. I was just kind of intending on discarding Mark of the Storm to the Urchin. We can just give up on the Flame Chompers. We're going to have a full board. Like, I don't think hooking Sett out of combat's that big of a deal here. We could just wait around as well. Right? We aren't super pressured to get all this stuff on board right now. Can get a Jinx flip out of this stuff. No, we can't. We'll be one short. Can't play both Urchins at the same time. Alright, let's just go ahead and discard it. I want to see if we can't find a burn spell at this point. I mean, opponent's not going to be happy with how this board looks, and so he's got to start doing something. If we just get to attack with this full board, game should be done. Caustic Rift's not bad. I give it that. That's not bad. Let's bring out the Lightning Rush. The Smash and Dash should be our strongest unit at this point. It's going to suck if he's able to go over the top with another removal spell, but he at least gets tapped down, and we're kind of safe to switch into this Jinx plan next turn, and so it still seems pretty safe to me. It's interesting with her in hand now. Like, you typically don't want to just, run her out on the board and leave her vulnerable, but we have the second Jinx in hand, which is, you know, good in the sense that if she gets killed, then we just have another copy to pop off with next turn, and then if we go into the next turn and we're able to get excited with our Jinx, then we're just gonna completely pop off on this game. Okay. Well, I guess it is annoying having this expensive bro in hand. I get this space in my head sometimes to where
Technique is for lightweights.
we can actually pass. I think he'll probably pass it back to us, but no, getting this spot in my head sometimes to where it's like, okay, the Get Excited is the card in our head, and we're rolling into next turn with Get Excited, but Get Excited and Jinx can't do they can't do the same things together, and so it's a touch awkward. Now, the reason I kind of started to go through here is I wanted to see if we couldn't either just find more burn or ways to get this Misfortune onto board and still do burn things. I think this is okay. He's only got one card in hand. Now we've got 2 harpoons. We'll have to approach it in this direction. Don't want to get stuck with the single harpoon plus a Jinx in hand, so we'll do the blowback. Deny, sure thing. Now we get to bring in Jinx. Death Rocket will also kill off this Forge Chief. Should be good from here. I don't know what the last card could be that would be very problematic. I guess we'll find out soon. I guess like Concussive Palm would be pretty strong at this point. Smooth mixologist.
I call it pit grit. It's got cherries. Bye-bye.
So if we attack with everybody, we're going to get this extra 2 points of damage in. That seems pretty worth it to me. He's not going to be able to kill Jinx with anything, so he's going to put his Accountant onto the Clockling, his 3/3 onto Jinx. He'll put his Sett onto somebody else. Sure, same thing. Seems even better for us getting to keep the elusive, but getting the opponent to 2, all of our burn spells now kill them, and then a Death Rocket will also get the kill. So if we find a way to get these units on board, that'd be in tip-top shape.
Give it up for the reigning champ!
It's coming for you, Jinx. We didn't draw the way to get her on board for free. There we go. That's what you're wanting to see.
We'll bring peace to Ionia, whatever the cost.
Probably should have taken Electro Harpoon there, but oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, do you have the deny to go for this? That's scary. That's pretty scary right there. All right. Victory unlocked at the end of the day. GG. Well played. On to the next one. All right, yeah, we're definitely, like, I like the way that this Kennen Jinx Dex plays out, but we're definitely going to have to get in a lot of reps with it. And so it was interesting. I forget who it was. I always check on Smooth Swallow List and check on Grandpa Roji to see what they're bringing to these events. They both played the Mastering Runeterra thing, and one of them was playing Samira Jinx. I think it's Grandpa Roji that just plays a ton of Samira Jinx or Samira Fizz, and that's the thing I was starting to look at is like, what if we take Fizz out of the Mount Targon deck and then play Samira Fizz? But like one of the things I ran into at the last Standard Open was I just didn't play very much Samira Fizz, and I was ultimately worried about bringing it to the event because I like being able to come in and ban out Karma Sett. I just don't like playing the matchup. It's not fun for me. But then that leaves you having to play a ton of Samira Fizz mirror matches, and a lot of these top players were pushing hundreds of, they're probably thousands into the thousands of games with that deck, and then so with that being the most popular deck, you're getting hundreds of games of the mirror, and it's It's pretty intimidating to have to go up against that and just know that A, they're already just a better player than you, but B, they're also more experienced in the mirror. And I was kind of worried about that if we kind of added Samira Fizz into our lineup, that would creep itself in again, and it's ultimately kind of scared. But nonetheless, back into this opponent's lineup, I'm fine taking everything we have against the Ornn deck. I feel good playing the mirror. The Mount Targon Fizz deck is slightly favored. Everything is great there. And so do we want to take out the Illaoi Swain, or do we want to take out the Karma Sett? Now, if this was our previous one to where we had the silences across all of our decks, then I feel a lot better about just leaving Illaoi Swain up, because a lot of our cards are just more active against it. But now that we've switched in Kennen, it's a little bit different there. And so I think I'm still okay banning out Illaoi Swain and leaving up Karma Sett. It's just one of these spots to where, you know, it sucks to play equipment-based decks like Jax Ornn and run into a deck that just naturally has a bunch of heavy metals in it. And so that's a problem point. I don't so much care about heavy metals in the face of the Return to Wrench deck, but it's just one of those kind of incidental advantages that deck gets that I don't really want to have to come out and deal with. And so with this start, we want to find our forge units early. One of the main factors in this match is who can just get the biggest unit on board the fastest. And so we want to find those 1 and 2 cost forge plays if we can find them. None of them turned up. Opponent found his Weaponsmith's Apprentice. A little bit unfortunate for us, but let's see if we can't turn it from there.
Sword,
Has no
staff,
play.
Fish, nothing speaking to me.
All right, improving a little bit. And I think we want to get the Castaway down. It's kind of an interesting spot. I'm looking to drop the Bellows Breath onto Jax. And if we bring in the Castaway, we do get that extra point of mana, but he's just going to die to everything. I think we actually want to play the Blacksmith here. And then if we get something that can boost health, like the Combat Reel, then the Blacksmith will survive next turn, assuming that she's around and undamaged at that point.
Ever been to a blacksmith before?
Weapon
Oh,
roulette.
hang on. That one got big. that one got big. Let's just send in the Blacksmith. See if he gets out in front, and then we can be in a similar spot next turn to where we can Bellows Breath onto Jax and just kill off the Blacksmith, but... Ugh. Uh-oh. That's a problem. Uh-oh.
Lights out.
Well, rip Jax.
There are stories in the ringing of steel.
We'll still get our forges in, though. I think we're in an okay space.
Not even I know what I'm cooking up.
Building up to this
I will
this
tell you
Ornn.
of Ornn.
Definitely want to just have as big of an equipment as we can get. So the Blacksmith turns back up. I'm not as excited about it at this point. I think we still want to just drop the Castaway. We'll get that point of attune, and then from there,
Rather be sailors, but this looks fun
we can now
too.
play Bellows Breath. All of our attacks should be pretty strong here,
This all
especially
got?
if we get to
Hey,
kill off the
I've done more
Castaway.
with less.
Did he take Combat Reel? Beautiful. All right, combat time. I'm ready to sizzle.
Stands never seem to stick.
So we can swing. If he has a catch to protect the Jax, kind of whatever. Otherwise, we're definitely getting a kill onto these combat cooks and the like. Oh, he just takes the death. Oh, Jax got a flip. Okay, that makes sense.
And you know what? Also for me.
I was curious at what level, how close he was to leveling up. I just didn't look. The sign of a true master. The sign of a true master. Like, yeah, I just didn't look, you know.
Let me change up my style.
Dang, he's already coming in. I was hoping that we were going to get an 8-power strike this turn.
There are stories in the ringing.
Just go ahead and Artisan. We're gonna triple forge this Castaway.
That's why Smith.
Stop here. If he has something weird, I don't want to have problems. Like, as it stands, we should be okay with this Piltover Castaway and then, like, Ornn, right? If he plays a fish fight or something to kill the Castaway, this 5/3 equipment's still going to be the biggest equipment in our hand. But there's no reason to just drop the time and dedications before we get to the next turn. Alright, look at the size of my squad. So big, so meaty. So let's see what we can do. It'll be interesting to see if he drops below 5 mana at this point. That's what you like to see. Glad to see him drop his own Ornn. So now we know all of our units should be pretty safe in combat here. It's a bit unfortunate that he's just bigger than the Piltover Castaway, but our Ornn attack is going to be perfectly safe.
Won't need tools for this.
There's the flip.
Now this is what good looks like.
And we'll see if we can't get a blowout next turn, just with our Unforgiven Cold out in front of Ornn. The other interesting thing we can start to do in this space is just play the Ruthless Raider, put the Light of Acacia onto the Piltover Castaway, have the big equipment come back into our hand, and then next turn, or then after that, we can put the Overwhelm, or the big equipment onto our Overwhelm unit. We'll see if that comes together.
Stand on your own 2 feet, and nothing shall move you.
Sharesies.
Fighting is my first language.
Gotta make the Bloxies, though. You gotta watch out for the Bloxies, my dude. More stuff. Okay.
That's a
He
whomper.
throws down the GG.
Get shipwrecked.
He says, I got shipwrecked, bro. Nice. Big boom.
A job well done.
Alright. In with the Kennen Jinx. See what we can do. Whew, getting those big units on board. Nothing feels better than having a big, 15 attack unit on board. Some people tell you comboing off with Karma or comboing off with Seraphine feels better. They're wrong. They're wrong. Life's all about getting these giant units on board. Alright, let's see what we can do. Pick up the tiny spear. You find a lot of spots to where you actually want to pick up the bonus health equipment, but I think we'll go for the attack-based thing here. We might find a lot of spots to where we're trying to load up a single elusive unit or a single quick attack unit, and we'll get a bit of value out of that thing.
Tell the one about his fiery breath, Hertha.
Might find ourselves loading it up on a bounce and bolt, but I think Smash and Dash should be okay here. What's this next turn gonna look like? Say opponent plays the Innovative Blacksmith, which would be a 2/2, a 3/3 with the Weaponsmith's equipment. And then if he hits like Pot of Pain, it's gonna be a 4/5, but otherwise Smash and Dash should be able to take the unit down. Okay.
To the forge.
I convinced myself.
Hold on to your helmets.
Alright, there it is. He's made the play. Is it the Pot of Pain?
Could be nicer.
No, it is not.
Go back it down.
It's in the squad.
Clumsy work.
This should be good for us. Dealing 3 points of damage and completely emptying the board. Opponent will find themselves the kind of issue that he has with what's going on right now is say, well, his key strength right now is this Fix Him 5000, right? His ability to carry on these stats to other units, but that takes a bit of time to do. And so he either has to just play a smaller unit and then equip it up with the blacksmith thing. And so that's going to give us time just to get more units on board and get around it, or he's going to play like a combat cook, and then he's not getting any value out of the blacksmith. And so I think both versions of this are pretty good for us. Now I'm looking to Electro Harpoon both of his units. We don't necessarily need to take down Jax, but I'm not opposed to it. We just have this completely empty board and get to smash for 7 next turn. Very close to lethal at that point.
There are stories in the ringing of steel.
Rules are made to be broken, like buildings or people.
He shouldn't have any real answers to Jinx. I think she's going to be a very safe play here. I guess, like, Catch is one that could be potentially scary. He's already played one. You can catch the Fix Him 5000 onto the Artisan or something, but it seems like she should be big enough either way. And then the only, like, true removal this deck plays is going to be Fish Fight. And so this is one of the few instances I feel fairly safe just slamming Jinx down, even in the face of all these other spells. Let's see. Our mana's not really tapping out nicely here, though. We're adding in the Squeaker, but we can't discard our whole hand if we need to. Yeah, we're gonna lose our Jinx. I think it's still okay, but we probably should have just sequenced that differently. Come on, bud. We got a kitty wanting to hang out, though. The kitties haven't been coming by for the videos too often. Maybe he's getting lonely. He's missing he's missing all the good times that we're out here having. But I think we're okay here. We keep saying stuff like that, keep playing this poorly, but even with as poorly as we run this, I think we're still doing good. Oh, here's what the world needed. Say what up, everybody. What up, everybody? I do not like being picked up. Nope. He's a delightful fella. His butt doesn't stink this time, no. I think that was what happened the last time he came to hang out for the videos. Was I think he had a serious problem of ass stink, and he complained about it. Complained about it a good amount. All right, we got to get as much damage on board as we can now. And so next turn, we can draw just literally anything, discard that anything, and the parts made hold of the blowback. So we should be able to get in 5. I do want to go ahead and just play this spear, because now we do have, we have these extra attacks from the Dune Hopper mech and the impacts and everything, but at the end of the day, if we only deal this 5 right here with the 2-1 and the 3-1, that should be enough to end the game. But with the Dune Hopper mech and these impacts, I think we'll be safe either way. We are. We did it, kitty. GG. Get them kitty scratches in as we get that win.
God of the Forge, you got him.
So fat though. It's brutal. Like we know that he's too fat, but haven't figured out how to manage having 3 cats and trying to get one of them to lose weight. Right? We do the dry food and you just put it out in a bowl. Like, I guess the answer is you just have to start switching to like wet food, and then you can feed them all at the same time individually. But my oldest cat, she's so fickle about what she eats. Like, you can get any kind of wet food or kind of wet cat treat, and she just sniffs it and walks away. And she was the one that we were having issues with the food. I got one of those automatic feeders, and I was timing it to put out the same amount of food every day, but they got like hyper fixated on the food because there would be like times throughout the day where there weren't nuggets in the bowl, and I think they got stressed out, and one of the older cats just started pissing everywhere. So went back to the old style, but this little black kitty's a tubbo, and he needs to lose weight. Yeah. Don't want him getting the beatus. You're supposed to be all big and strong and mighty, right? The cat's fucking huge. He was the biggest one of the litter, and then he's the biggest one of the household now, but he's also the loneliest. As soon as he realizes that he's alone, he starts freaking out. He's got separation anxiety or something, and so it's at least good that he has kitty friends around the house for when everybody's at work and stuff. But it's got a personality. Real tough life for these kitties. I think we got another one up here too. The other one that usually hangs out in the videos, the black and white one. You can see her like climbing the kitty tree back here on occasion. She usually spends her horrible life hanging out up on top of that kitty tree. She's got it tough too. So she likes to wake up in the morning. She heads downstairs where the sun comes in the window and just lays on the floor in the sunspot. And then as the sun carries over the house, she says, "Ooh, time to go sit in my kitty tree for another 16 hours." Very tough life. All right, into this one though. Big control lineup coming at us. I think as far as these decks go, I'm usually hesitant to ban Heimerdinger Jayce. It's going to be a weaker matchup for us, but I think it has to stay. The thing here is the Senna Nasus deck. I think this is the Vault of Helia deck, which is a really awkward matchup for Jax Ornn, but the other ones are kind of okay. And so it's leaning me just to ban out Ekko Jinx. It's another deck I usually just don't like to ban out, but Ekko Jinx is like, at least looking at the stats for decks that I'm typically trying to be good against, it seems like Ekko Jinx always shows its face as being a bad matchup for all those decks. And then I just never play it because the deck's stupid. But I'm a little unfamiliar with what's happening out of these things other than the Heimerdinger Jayce. I don't know. I thought I saw the Senna Nasus deck pop up some places, and it just had a negative win rate against everything in the world, and so it was very surprising to see that happen. But not too crazy to think that this is a lineup designed to target the Fizz deck. All right, let's see what we can do. No big cards in here. No Siren Songs. No Reaver's Roast. Get rid of everything. Look for our namesake. Found the Siren Song. I think I just have a bunch of cat hair in my mouth now. That's the life, I guess. But we can start off with the aggression here. The opposing deck doesn't have too many ways. Like, if this was a Vile Feast format, I wouldn't want to play the unit out first, but in this one, I think it's a fairly safe play to just get started with the Shell Shocker, especially since we aren't losing out on any mana when we make that kind of play. Formula comes in. Don't have to worry about Shock Blasts now. Do have to worry about stuff like Aftershock, but we should be safe here to drop Fizz on the Husk and not worry about him dying to removal spells. A little bit awkward with this hand, though. You don't have, or we have these two Sunbursts that aren't really doing anything. I mean, I guess we'll feel like geniuses next game, or next turn if opponent just drops Jayce, but seems like kind of an awkward spot to just be dropping Jayce. I mean, maybe in the sense that he just needs the 4/4 to hook in on the pocket picker.
There's nothing a little
Just kind of stuck, but cool. I didn't realize we didn't have 5 mana, so everything is working out. Jayce isn't flipped yet. Let's take the Daybreak on our Solari Soldier first. So we'll play the Soldier, then we'll play the Sunburst onto Jayce, and we'll attack with everybody. Another spot to where Shock Blast shouldn't be too special.
Let's get to work.
This is gonna be fun.
Not on my work site, bub.
Alright, not bad. Let's get to start refilling here next turn. Also feels a little safer having this Picket Pocker die and Pocket Picker. Whatever this guy's called, letting him die so we have the coin to protect our Fizz with. And also use it to amp up this Moonlit Affliction next turn if we want. Alright, this should be good. We'll Sunburst down the Jayce. Now we can just open with Eye of Nagakaboros next round. Have a very strong open attack. Might want to add in a little more. Well, we can't add in more. Yeah, we can. We can see what we draw. It's like, it feels really good for us if he has to Vengeance the Tentacle. But I'd like to find another unit if we could. There it is. Vengeance on the Tentacle. This Kale is getting real close to flipping as well. Nothing wrong with getting big Kale on board doing the double attack overwhelming stuff. And so we'll see. As it stands, like a thing we could do, just conceding anyways, is play Kale and then put the +3/+3 onto her and then roll into the next turn and look to coin out the camp lock thing and then try and crash in for 1 million that way. Alright. Reasonable enough start. Artisan into Castaway. I really miss that Hearthblood Mender so much. You don't realize how good you've got it till he's gone. And that was a card that I guess, you know, during its standard life cycle, the
I will tell you of Ornn.
the new card didn't exist. Whatever you're called, it's a lab secret on here. The Innovative Blacksmith, and having both Weapon Masters inside of Freylord is such a big deal now. But with these, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the combat reel. It's gonna let us get a little bit more protection for our Piltover and Castaway. Ideally, it won't just die to a Mystic Shot. Feel definitely good about it now. Now that the thing that would have been disaster mode for us here was getting Shock Blasted. But that's clearly not on the table. Okay.
To the forge.
Looks good. We'll time and dedication, make sure our unit doesn't die to the evolution turret. Send in the old squad. And this is a surprising space to where the evolution turrets are very relevant, as you can AoE every single turret in the game away with the Bellows Breath, except for that tough turret. And so you can run into some surprisingly horrifically bad boards if they manage to hit 2 or 3 tough units off of that
A broken thing is a
off of
breaking
that
thing.
turret evolution, whatever it's called. let's get our cultist up and running now. The best block opponent has is on the Piltover Castaway, and this feels like another one of these turns to where if the best that they get going is playing a Vengeance onto a big unit, then we're feeling pretty good. We're still advancing our board and getting our good things happening. Interesting. I think I don't want our castaway to, or our cultist to attack. I don't want it
The craft sings.
falling to 3 health to where it starts to die to aftershocks and stuff. I'm okay with all of these other units dying, especially since we have like this catch in hand, and maybe we just let the unit here die. That's fine. We can put our equipment over on the favored artisan.
Bury me at sea.
Let's get to work.
Okay. Seems reasonable. Tapping down super low again for some irrelevant units. Alright, well, we'll put the cultist at risk. That's a tough spot. We probably should have just equipped it onto the cultist, but I'm thinking to myself, I want to...
Remember, we're the ones who make progress happen.
I want the... like, I don't want to load all of our advantages onto the single unit, right? On that previous turn to where we were like, okay, well, if opponent has a Vengeance for our big play, it's not that bad. That's why I felt, you know, kind of okay with everything being all spread out. But then if we take our equipment and put it onto the Icevale Cultist, and then we roll into our next turn and opponent has a Vengeance for this big super unit, then we have a serious issue and a serious problem. And so... we still got out of it there. That was kind of lucky that didn't have the removal to take the cultist off board, but that was the thought process. And then like playing the Bellows Breath and being like, yeah, we just kind of canceled all the strategy that we were trying to put forth. Alright, though. Got big old Ornn on board. Gotta like seeing that. Even if he picks up the Vengeance for Ornn, he's still gonna get trucked for the turn.
For the north. To the forge. This will make it sturdy.
Alright. 8-piece nugget coming through. Ornn flip coming in. Getting fully banked up on the mana so we can cash some fish fights and stuff next turn.
Forge, you got him.
Good job, my dude.
Let's go, people.
Drop the fish fight off the favored artisan and then put the equipment back down on the Ruthless Raider. Very nice combo. Alright, we can manage that.
Who's next? Bring it on.
I wonder if there's a world where they ever have two
Beatdowns or go all at once.
two ruinations. I don't think so. We're just gonna set this up to where we have 10 power on 2 units.
This land is ours.
One says that's too much. You boomed me too good, bust. GG.
Gotta keep that light burning.
Keep that light burning. It's been burning since the world's been turning. Is it our third match or our second? That was the third one. I thought we won 3. Get the score counter updated right. Ooh, all right. Cue it up. See what battles come up next. I felt like a pretty handy trouncing of Heimerdinger Jayce. I know in our previous event, I got in a spot to where I feel like we played against the Jhin Bandle City deck of some flavor. I can't remember if it had Norra or not. I think it had Norra, and then Karma Sett, and then Heimerdinger Jayce. And I I feel like we banned out Heimerdinger Jayce in that one, and it was just a pure mistake. And that got us more in the mindset of just banning out the Norra deck if it turns up. But I admittedly haven't played a ton of Heimerdinger Jayce. It's one of those weird matchups to where a lot of people really advocate for it in best of 3, but you never see it as being like a real contender on the ladder. And I can't decide if that's just because the deck's not actually that good, or the play patterns aren't fun, or if it's just like the third best deck, and then the third best deck isn't really worth worrying about, and like in terms of ladder, but it is in terms of worrying about in best of 3, and so kind of interesting there. But nonetheless, here I'm going to leave the Fizz deck up. I think it's to where Scouts should be good against both the Fizz deck and the Kennen deck. Scouts get steamrolled by Jax Ornn, though. I don't think we're going to get that matchup if we want it, though. Again, I'm fine with all of the decks into Mount Targon Fizz, no problems there. The deck to the left should be the Returno Wrench aggro version of Norra and not a control decky version of Norra, and so I think we can actually leave that one up and then come in and just ban out Scouts. I think Scouts is actually our worst matchup here. Jax Ornn gets taken down. No real surprises there. Let's head on in. Alright, up to Norra Teemo. So none of our big unit boosters here to start. We'll just take the full mulligan, see if anything turns up. It doesn't. And so with this, if this was just kind of like a standard Norra deck to where they just play a mountain of removal spells, we don't really want to be playing these 1 health units early, because they're just going to come on board and then they're just going to get killed by a group shot or whatever the new pokey stick kind of thing is called, and that's just not real advantageous for what's going on. And so I definitely want to be mulliganing, looking for the ways to boost the size of our units, or even at least Reaver's Row lets us get 2-for-1s in a lot of these blocking situations. So it's nice to see if those turn up, but we're running light, we're running weak at the moment, and so no real choice in the matter. Alright, we can still go toe-to-toe here, though. Let's see if whenever he adds a unit, we can add a unit and stuff. I'm okay with that.
Anything else?
The Divine Clerk is the important one here. Let us come in and gain a bunch of health back. I probably just shouldn't have ran it out, and we can wait and see what turns up in terms of units. I'm regretting it, as we're just not even going to block with it here. But fine to throw away the Fizz. We want to leave this Zonite Urchin up. I don't want him getting the Returno Wrench back in hand. It shouldn't be, like ultra critical in this space since he's got 2 Flame Chompers in hand, but it's certainly something to worry about. Look at that. Just making the misplays look terrible, am I right? as we feel bad about the Divine Clerk being on board, we just immediately draw the Siren Song afterwards. So that's what you get. That's what you get. Learn from my mistakes, please. I implore you to learn from my mistakes. Interesting, a Portal Palooza. No units turn up for opponent. That sucks for them. Alright, yeah, I feel so much better about turning this around. It's a very interesting spot. You just have to imagine that opponent's hand is just full of hot garbage, right? I mean, not hot garbage, a lot of just hot burn spells if they're going to spend their turn 5 not adding any units to the board. Portal Palooza is not what he's really looking to achieve right there.
Spare the innocent, punish the
All right,
wicked.
2-power Kale. Ready to swing, ready for battle. Amp it up to 4. See if a blowback comes in at her. Like, I don't really worry about losing this Kale. If she gets to soak up some Mystic shots and stuff, that would be cool. Just the more likely thing to come at her is going to be blowback. Well, we're pretty close to lethaling next turn if we can get to that point, but I ultimately worry opponent's going to have a bunch of portals coming in as they've just hit. Not a ton we can do on this board. I think we're kind of stuck just Telstonesing for the invoke. See if we can't hit Golden Sister or something. We're not going to be able to get a lethal next turn. He's going to have too many blockers. Very high percentage chance we're just dead right here. But stop and think how different this would look if we had our life-stealing unit on the board, just out here with 4 health, either soaking up all of the burn or at least gaining us. Even like a single block and gaining 3 health would leave us in such a different spot here, but we threw this one away like a bunch of dum-dums. Gotta just block with Kale. We automatically die if we're at 2. There's a tiny chance we can pull this one off at 3. Okay. No life steals in there. So that was dumb. That was on us. Like I knew in my head that we shouldn't have been bothering. Like, I'm fine with throwing away Fizzes. He doesn't do anything in this. The other units are all throwawayable, but throwing away our throwing away our lifesteal unit was just a disaster. That was dumb. Like, it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I wanna get this guy some lifesteal, and I have this Pale Cascade in my hand. That's gonna take it up to 3, and then that just like doesn't pan out for anything, right? You want that guy sticking around turn after turn, and trading away with a random 2-drop just doesn't feel good in that spot. So it was a touch awkward there. But try and turn things around here. Pretty good start with the Siren Songs, so I feel okay hanging on to a singular cheap play so that we know once we get to turn 3 and turn 4, we'll at least have a dude that can come down and interact a little bit. Make sure we don't get stuck too much with these non-unit cards in our hand.
Only a fool would enter battle unprepared.
I'll block 1. I'm going to save the Fizz for our Siren Song. Looks like opponent's about to have a Siren Song as well, but it's not as important since all of our units still just trade with each other, right? So it's nice to get these stats from the Husk, but the 3-2s doing combat with each other, even if opponent didn't have the Siren Song, the 3-2s slamming into each other would be enough to die to opponent's 2-1s. Alright, everybody's got their Siren Song, everybody's got their Fizz. I'm just gonna stop right there. I got the second Siren Song. We'll see if he's if he's also got it. Now Divine Clerk pops up. I'm gonna go ahead and just start taking some of this stuff down. You have to worry, you know, am I spending my spell too soon when an opponent could be dropping Zolani's on the board? But Zolani is kind of far away, and we're about to pop off on board here, and so I think it's okay to just take it a little bit slow. Let's just get this, just set up this turn 7. No need to be aggressive at this point. We have all the big cards and all the big plays. Alright, he hits Doomkeeper. Sure, we'll play Siren Song into Divine Clerk, and then next turn we'll get the Winding Light going. Bringing him.
Another hunt.
We just fall to 2, right? Seems safe. What's he gonna do with 2 mana? He's not gonna do anything.
I'm Fizz. Me too. Weird.
Grant us your guidance. We have need of you.
Alright, let's see what we can do. Gotta worry a little bit about a silence card coming in, but holy shit, we had another Divine Clerk. That's the way the pros do it right there. And this is exactly what the Winding Light is good for, right? You see, we matched each other unit for unit in terms of the Reaver's Row. And so under normal circumstances, we'd be attacking here, and he could just block all of our units because all of his units are big enough to block a Fearsome. But as you come in with this Winding Light now, you're able to give our units Overwhelm. Should be enough to get us close to a kill. We're not going to quite get it. What do we have? We got 16 plus 9. Is that 25? That should do it.
Justice light my way.
No, he's gonna have at least 5. That's not gonna do it, but let's at least send the attack in.
I ain't afraid.
I ain't afraid.
Who dare swims?
Get a little 15-piece nugget in there. These mathematics are hard to do. We might just be dead to an open now. You got a couple of dudes to drop on the board.
You know it, Shelly.
You can say like hush the Shell Shocker to prevent a few points of damage. Oh, there's the Zolani. That's gonna KO us. We needed to win on that last turn.
We were peaceful once.
We can survive some of this.
Devotion to battle.
Interesting, he doesn't have a spell for Fizz. That's gonna take us to 2. We can block everything here, but he's not going to attack with Zolani, so it's kind of a free block as well.
Over here.
Oh, he is going to attack with Zolani.
You leave me no recourse.
That means we can do one of these.
You cannot hold us down.
No? That math isn't good? That's too bad. Alright, GG. Whew, that's tough. I thought that we were going to be able to come in and take that one down with the Winding Light. It seemed like we were so close. I'd have to go back and look at that match again and see if there wasn't something we could have done a little bit different. It feels like whenever you pick up that, like whenever you get the advantage on the Siren songs, you should be able to ramp pretty far ahead. We just weren't able to capitalize on it there. A lot of that, is a touch awkward in the sense that, right? I was trying to mouth my way through that in the earlier stages of that game, as to where you say, I play Siren Song, but opponent hasn't, so I just have a bunch of 3-2s on the board, and the opponent has a bunch of 2-1s on the board, and you're still capable of coming out and making a bunch of trades, since the stat lines line up that way. And that's where the strength in the Winding Light comes in. We were short on the kill there, but I think the idea at least came through. Looked a little better. So yeah, I think I'm quite happy with the Winding Light there. I think as we come to edit this deck some more, we're just going to take out these Kales. I've at no stage been happy with having Kale in this deck, and so I think she's going to go. All right, well, up against Min Maxon again. We banned Illaoi Swain earlier. We'll do the same here. I think, was this the person that we just 2-0'd their karma set? I don't remember, but we certainly battled earlier. All right, well, here we go. That hot Ornn on Ornn action. That's what everybody's here for. All right, so let's take a mulligan. I'm going to hang on to the innovative blacksmith. Again, get rid of everything else. We're going to look for our cheap forge plays, but we don't want to roll into turn 3 with no play. So we'll hang on to the innovative blacksmith just to make sure we have somebody to throw down if no useful forges turn up. Turn 1, no forge. Turn 2, no forge. Uh-oh. Opponent didn't have him either, though. Playing it safe, playing it fair. He loses his point of mana with the castaway. Picks up the old pot of pain. We can do the same. We're ready to get into action with this board. At least we can add the combat cook next turn, and then he's just bringing it, huh? So he has to have a catch, right? You wouldn't just attack unless you had a catch. And we'll see. We'll try to keep that in mind as these next turns roll around. Then I'm going to go combat cook, hoping to hit the fix him 5000. That's what turns up. Now we should be able to get a very good hook with him, especially if opponent plays their own combat cook and picks up a similar type item.
No dessert,
No dessert. That's okay. It's not a super high impact target, so not too worried about it. The Glacial Saurian gives his units a little bit of a bonus.
I will tell you of Ornn.
Let's do this. I'm going to just go ahead and add the favored artisan. We can just take 5 here. It's not that big of a deal. We'll slowly gain a little bit of this health back as well. Going to load the Fix 'em 5000 onto the artisan. Also going to add in Jax. Jax should be getting flipped on this next combat. And so he's currently needing to see 9. We have 8 to the left, but I'm willing to put time and dedication onto the favored artisan as well. Nice pickup with the Icevale Cultist, though. Might actually get to crash a lot of damage in this turn.
I know you've been stealing my place, Captain. Hey, they patch up the hall real good.
It's a bit of a bummer. Makes our Jax attack not look nearly as good. So do we still want to attack this round? Like, I'm not convinced that he doesn't have catch, right? Catch could be a very real thing at this point. I think it's probably just too greedy. Let's just take this single attack in here. We even want to get the combat cook off of the board? Probably not. Rather just get the Saurian off of the board. Ooh, Elixir of Iron. That was not the expected trick. I think it's still okay, right? We don't want to just try and kill off the combat cook and then have all those good stats go right back into his hand. He's got an Ornn up to an 8/7. To copy our big Fix 'em 5000.
Fighting is my first language.
So I guess he's gonna take a hook onto. Oh, he hooks onto Ornn. Does he have another? Oh no, he's gonna get the double forge. That makes sense.
See how I will rule.
I want to just clear this stuff out. I mean, we have another Ornn to play next turn, so he's definitely coming in. It's just the downside with our board at this point is we don't have the mana to get this fixin' 5,000 down. Well, maybe we're healthy enough for a moment. Gotta count Ornn on Ornn number 2 to do some work next turn. Yeah, this is pretty devastating with the losing the Ornn combat.
You wanted the god of the
Maybe we should have just waited there. I didn't stop to think about the potential of the forge happening.
And you know what? Also for me.
Like having the Ornn come in and take down the Jax or whatever would have been much better. It's not like super problematic having him like kill the Ornn. You know, we have plenty of Ornns running around. It's just it's a problem in the sense that it costs so much mana. What? Our Ornn is flipped, and then we just picked up an Unforgiven Cold, and so maybe we can get some nasty shenanigans going. And we need to watch and see how much mana opponent spends on this turn. We definitely end up losing out if we attack with Ornn, and then he's got a interesting. But if he attacks with his Ornn and then has the flash freeze for our Ornn, which he did, I'm surprised he didn't just let us attack. I guess you have to deal with the Ram at that point, but the Ram isn't lethal. Interesting.
The Winter's Claw will never accept peace. Let me change up my style.
Jax is a safe attack, right? Opponent's all tapped out now. Give a quick scan out here. It doesn't look like anything will stop him. Okay. This has got to be an open, right? I'd love to get to preemptively Unforgiven Cold, but you have to assume with the 5 units plus the Ram getting him up to 6, he's just gonna send the squad.
My arrows fly. Here comes my molten friend.
Here comes my molten friend. Alright, so where does that get us? Like, I'm really wanting to block the Ornn. Just don't know if we'll have enough stats to pull that kind of thing off.
Love the attitude.
That's still too much damage.
That's a wampin.
This takes us to 1. I mean, we technically can lose our Ornn here if we wanted to, say, make a block like this.
Don't test me. Hope you stretch.
So we lose our Ornn, hang on to our cultist, and then we're looking to just get the overwhelms in with the cultist. And we'll try and do what we can with all these fix 'em 5,000s. How did this other block look?
See how I will rule.
Like this, we risk falling to 1, but we do get to keep our Ornn. But we lose our Ice Veil guy. I don't think that's worth.
Don't test me. Need a weapon?
Okay. We're counting on you, Ice Veil cultist.
Yeah. Who needs weapons?
Sharesies will do it. Alright, GG. That's tough.
Again. Win 'em all.
I think the big turn in that one was we played our Ornn too preemptively, right? We wanted to say, hey, my Ornn's bigger than your Ornn, so you can't attack. So we'll just get the kill. I think that I didn't stop to consider that his Ornn getting the forges was going to be big enough to kill ours, and then that being a problem. And so again, it's not the problem isn't losing out on the Ornn. We could have most certainly been successful in that game without him, since we had the big 4-2 quick attacking equipments in hand, and we had the overwhelm provider on board. The big problem there was just the massive tempo loss of playing a 7 mana Ornn, trading it for an opponent's 2 mana unit, and then us having to play an Ornn on the next turn, an opponent having the way to respond to it. So I wish we'd just let that attack happen. We add seven mana worth of units to the board and then go into the next turn and play the fresh Ornn then. All right. Up against Karma Sett, though, we didn't have any early plays in that previous hand. That's a no-go. This mulligan isn't much better, but it at least has a couple of 2-drops to go along with it. I think if we pick up a 3-cost improvise unit here early, we can turn the tide around pretty quick. Just we're not amped about having this Fishfight Bellows Breath interactive hand against Karma. We got a bunch of friends ready to go now.
Let's get to work.
What you got, Innovative Blacksmith? Kind of interesting. I'm curious if opponent actually attacks with either of these Forge Chiefs. I'm just going to go with the Sandsworn Amulet. It does pretty much everything we need now, making our unit bigger than these, but also allowing it to punch in damage. But I do like the tough equipment a lot against Karma Sett. It just gives you a lot of opportunities to force them into 2-for-1ing themselves. I'm just gonna keep skipping it across the board though. Ego's Concussive Palm.
The craft sings.
Send them in.
I see every move.
Alright, and then we'll keep the fish fight mana up. Like on this next turn, we're looking to just blow it up if he plays Sett, right? So we're gonna have the fish fight to take Sett down. And then we can look to Bellows Breath here to clear out the 2 Forge Chiefs. I'm not as excited about that, but it's a possibility here.
Won't need tools for this.
Let's just take it. We gotta see what we can do next turn with the Bellows Breath.
Kindle picked me. That's why Smith.
These equipment are in awkward places, though. It's like I really want to be boosting up the Sandsworn Amulet, but we're going to have to boost the Castaway. Alright, let's see what happens. Ice Veil Cultist. Okay.
Here, let me see that.
And we can switch it up again. I mean, we have the option here to. We could have put the equipment onto the Innovative Blacksmith and then use the Bellows Breath on it. That doesn't sound super appealing. Okay, so we're just going to clear out the whole board. If you're not familiar with the Bellows Breath, it still does the AoE even if the unit gets killed. And so the unit dies, we don't get the Forge onto the combat reel, but it still does the 2 damage to all the units on board. What can that even target? I mean, we have a fish fight in hand. I think fish fight's the only spell. I guess Bellows Breath is another potential for that guy to hit.
Let the matriarchs and their legends die.
Win or lose, I'm getting paid.
Alright, well here's my combat-ready squad. Got a couple of turns before things get nasty. So, let's see what we can do. This is a tough one. I think we want to pick up the Scout Rake. The other options don't feel that good. So we're kind of beyond Scout being a strong ability at this point, but you know, sometimes it's appropriate to try and copy that with Ornn and get your damage in from there.
Win 'em all.
Alright, so reasonable enough. We'll hook in the only... Or we should have hooked in the 4-3 onto the Innovative Blacksmith. I thought that in my head and then just didn't execute it. But we want to make sure one of these 3 health units gets in front of our 3 attack unit. Managed to pull that off at the end of the day. Cultist was going to fall either way. But... Alright, let's see how it goes. What you got for us, deck? The big boy, the big Ornn, turning up just in the nick of time. You got no complaints about that. So I'm going to do this. We have the mana for everything, right? It's 1 for the Apprentice, 3 for the Fish Fight, 5 for the Upcycled Rake, and then Ornn. I got to add it the other way. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay.
Better get the forge going.
So we're going to Apprentice. We're going to Rake the Apprentice.
Ever been to a blacksmith before?
Now is when I want to do the Fish Fight. There shouldn't be anything too weird. Well, I guess the thing with Fish Fight is it's very easily counterspellable with that other thing that he had, right? The whatever that guy is called. The Carvings of Divination. I think that's okay. Still got Ornn. Copy the Scout. And then we'll be attacking. So the ideal thing with this is we can make this Scout attack with Ornn, and then if opponent has something like Tag Out, we'll have the opportunity to attack again. It's not, you know, super ideal not presenting lethals up against this Karma, but I don't think this is just an open attack, right? If we try and just open attack on this board, and then he you know, blocks Ornn and then has a concussive palm or something, it's just too easy for us to not get lethal. And then if we go to next turn, we're definitely dead. So want to try and get the 2 attacks this turn if we can. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh boy. Well, that wasn't a healthy bit of RNG. Then Karma just generating the barrier lifesteal card. You gotta like seeing that. Fucking insane. Alright, well this game should be done. I feel like we had a chance if this Karma was dead, and that's what we were kind of presenting there. Not a chance with her still on the board at this point. He's got the coin in hand to refill 1 million mana. With him not adding anything to the board here, I definitely don't feel any better. The Ornn Rake is bigger, and so we're at least going to do this. We're going to put the Light of Acacia onto Ornn. So he's going to have Overwhelmed now. We'll put the 4-3 equipment onto our Artisan. Just send an attack in. God, that's so frustrating. Like, there's a definite chance we could win this game if Karma was off the board, but that bullshit happens. I don't know. Somebody likes all these RNG cards. I don't know who it is, but somebody certainly enjoys this nonsense. Riot keeps printing it. My thing with this, and I know that they've done it to Insight of the Ages, but I really think most of these RNG cards need to say within your regions. And so when you're out battling Seraphine and she's generating the 2-cost cards, I'm pretty confident that needs to be 2-cost cards within your region. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. I mean, he milled off a Karma right there. And so if we kill off this Karma, there's a definite chance that we can still succeed in this game. Double tag out. Okay. Well, this was always my problem with Karma Sett. I don't think that Karma is too strong. Like, I think it's completely fair that, you know, Karma at 10 mana is able to do this double spell thing. This spot we're in right now is exactly why I have problems with this deck, and I don't think it should be able to exist. There is a very, very, very real chance that this game should be over, right? There's a maybe 1 in 500 chance that we still win this game. But we're at this spot in this tournament to where if we lose, it's just done. And we have to sit here and just wait on opponent to go through and go through and go through. Because we do have that 1 in 500 chance that we actually have a shot to win this game. We'll play Ornn, we'll get a double scout attack in. Maybe he just doesn't have it. And so we're basically at the mercy of just sitting around and waiting on opponent to bullshit through all these cards. And seeing what happens. Because I don't know about you, but I'm certainly having fun right now. And I'm going to have a load of fun if we move into these next turns and the opponent's not able to end the game. Yep. See? This is fantastically entertaining. This is like 100% the exact use case that you need to present to somebody to show why these cards should not exist.
What good are the War Mothers?
All right, let's continue. Unfortunate for you. I thought the overwhelm was gonna be the game breaker. Alright, Ornn's flipped now. Got that big scary ram coming through. He's got to be reasonably safe, right? Why would opponent ever let him flip if they had a concussive palm or if they had a tag out? Could have just sent him back to hand and stopped the overwhelm potential. Alright, mystic shots onto our friend. He fought valiantly, favored artisan.
Stories untold.
Fighting is my first.
Well,
You're all in trouble
here comes the
now.
big ram. I am bamboozled as to why these attacks are being allowed to happen. I guess he just doesn't have it. And so get in there, Rams.
Act with conviction.
Did you find it? Oh my gosh, we still won the game. What a joke. What a joke. So fucking dumb. That's exactly it. Why this is such a bullshit thing to have to play through. Is that just like reinforces it. There's like a literal like less than 1% chance you have to win the game in that spot. And that should not be a decision that you have to make. And so, like, I really like the kind of combat-based stuff to where your opponent's like, oops, I win. And so if you see something like Zolani, right? Zolani, I think, is a great use case for this kind of thing that is healthy in the sense that you put Zolani on the board. He attacks, your opponent has like 100 power, you immediately find out that they just won the game. But there's still ways to come in and interact with Zolani, right? You have all the silences, you have the sunbursts, you have things like the Unforgiven Cold. It's very obvious and clear when you've done the thing that wins you the game, and you can kind of interact with it. There's just no telling with Karma, and there's a very real chance in that game that we would have needed to continue on for like 3 and 4 and 5 more turns, and that's just not fucking fun. And so I don't know what the answer is, but I just don't think it's a very well designed collection of cards in that Karma ability. There's never been a situation throughout the history of card gaming to where you say, that's cool, just double it, and then that card leads to a lot of fun scenarios. Yeah, just double it, you know? Do that thing again. Do that thing twice. That'll be fun. Ugh. Hope you all signed up for a bust bitch fest. Just listen to me sit around and complain for hours on end, because that's what you're that's what you're getting for the rest of the video. All right, nice little aggro start here, though. Opponent seems to be having issues with the aggression that we're putting forth. We really stuck though, just like lightning rushing. I don't particularly like it, but it's going to take us a long time to get this Jinx on the board. And so it's like I'm kind of looking at lightning rushing. I'm just going to send it to face, right? I guess. Because ultimately what I'm looking to do here is I want to return Kennen, play Kennen, take the thing, the Mark of the Storm in hand, discard Mark of the Storm to Squeaker, and then have that be our turn. The question is, do we want to actually put damage on one of these units? Maybe we put damage on Smooth Mixologist.
Patience is a virtue, but not too much.
Would we rather just wait to do this stuff next turn? Why don't we do this?
Just you
Jinx.
and me, Fishbones.
If she gets hit with Aftershock, I think it's okay. It's probably not okay. But it works more in line with what we're trying to pull off on this upcoming turn, to where we're actually going to get the stun onto the Pit Professional, and then still have fuel for Squeaker. Just, I don't know. Maybe that would have been a better spot to just bank mana instead of just spewing the mana away. But I think the idea we have around all this Kennen cycle is fine, good and well.
Drinks are cold and gossip's hot. I am lightning. I break the wind.
Gotta be a Mecha Forcer. Not a strong hit coming out of the spell. Whatever the spell's called, it wasn't a strong one.
Where's the doorman? Something I said.
He brings the tag out. That's fine. Finally get 2 damage on the Pit Professional. That's good. We'll take it down next turn with Kennen. Getting in for 6. Okay.
Let's go, people.
Seems legit. Be kind of cool if we had a Jinx in hand at this point, but she did at least like soak a lot of mana out of the opposing hand, and so there's something to say for that. It wasn't completely useless having that Jinx come down.
Every fighting manual.
No holds barred.
Welcome to the arena.
Service with a smile. Nothing to nothing.
So do we want to take these blocks? Like, we're starting to get this nice burn build up in hand, and then we can just, instead of trying to Mark of the Storm the unit, we can just use Squeaker. I think this is okay. Doesn't seem like a particularly strong attack from the opponent. This is one of these spots to where, you know, we can realistically fill out our board and they can't fill out theirs.
I got the need for smashing.
Got the need for smashing. Let's get him, boys.
Wind and thunder.
All right. Squad incoming.
Let's throw down.
GG. Okay. Oof, sorry, Karma Sett. Ooh, those games were dumb. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get the appeal of that deck, but... All right, final battle. There was an interesting time in Magic's history. This would have been back in the days of Invasion, and so in the early 2000s. The way Wizards of the Coast did it for a little while was they had the Pro Tour, and then they had kind of like an invitational tournament off to the side called the Masters Tour. And so the Masters Tour was like a 64 player or 128 player, so single elimination tournament featuring the best of the world. And that was kind of the it was kind of like the Pro Tour was the casual Pro Tour, and then the Masters event was the high profile best of the best thing running along. But nonetheless, during this event, there was a deck to where I'm trying to think of what the equivalent would be in Legends of Runeterra, but there's a card called like Nightscape Familiar, which is just a very small unit with regenerate that makes your spells cheaper. And then there's a card called Ravenous Rats that was just a 1/1 for 2 mana that you played at your opponent discarded a card of their choice, and that was the win condition of the deck. And so it was just a control deck from that point forward, like card draw and removal spells, and then those 8 units. And the deck wasn't particularly very good, but when you get to that level, there's a lot of people like trying to big brain really hard. And that was one of the, you know, kind of the biggest brain deck at the point was playing this horrifically bad deck with just the 2 terrible cards in it. But the people piloting it did say that it really helped them understand how to play the control decks to a very high level as you're trying to win the game with just those shitty units and not just having one like giant oops I kill you with Psychotog kind of thing. That they had to really learn how to hone in with the deck and have some success with it. So, very interesting. But nonetheless, here we'll just ban out Illaoi Swain. Again, we're fine to play against Fizz. We've been kind of having our way with Karma Sett today. It feels like that's a matchup we're fine to leave up as well. And we'll just take the Illaoi out. Again, the Illaoi matchup, it's probably, you know, slightly unfavored to even, but I just don't like playing in that match to where they have like heavy metal against 2 of our decks really featuring equipment, and this is kind of too incidentally good for them.
Better get the forge going.
We were peaceful once.
But back in here, reasonable enough start. We got a forge unit and a 3-cost attune to go along with it. Start getting into combats here. What do we got? Are we getting stuck with the Shepherd's Authority? It's like, I never want it, but I find myself having to take it far too often. I think this is probably a reasonable spot to just go ahead and Entrancing Lure. Spend off that mana. We're going to get a little bit of it back. Take down the Husk. Keep his board from getting too nasty. Move on. Here's our quick attackers. That's what we need in these spots. This is a fairly tempting takedown. And we don't have any combat tricks at this point, and this will let us add a combat cook and then just re-equip the Weaponsmith's Apprentice. I think that's okay. Quick attack, looking good.
Not even I know what I'm cooking up.
Okay, we'll wait to equip until next turn. The opposing deck's not going to do anything too crazy. And that'll give us a chance to add the Castaway and add the Jax before we decide to go big.
You can fix anything with anything. I'll prove it.
Pick up Amulet. Surprisingly relevant on this board with opponent having a 2-3 down. We'll see if it comes down to mattering. Get that 4/4 bigger than all these 3-power bros.
Sword,
Feels pretty
staff,
good.
fish, nothing
Let's
speaking
get these attacks in.
tidy.
And then we're gonna fish fight. I wonder if that was our mistake for this turn. We could have gone ahead and well, we wouldn't have had the mana to fish fight. It's like I want to fish fight because I want to take these units down before the Reaver's Row pops.
1,000 years of
But,
battle and I'm just warming up.
We weren't gonna have the mana. It would have given us a way to flip our Jax before the attack happened here. He could have got the boost and everything. And we'll just strike with Jax. He's gonna win this combat, and he has the cheapest equipment to play again. We even want to play it on him. There's an argument to just play the Sandsworn Amulet at this point.
Grant us your guidance.
A clerk.
We have need of you.
Okay.
We
And
tend
a
the
clerk.
fire and hope for her return.
Okay.
Aim for the heart.
This is hot, you know.
So this is just like nowhere near lethal, right? So I'm looking to do this. We'll fall to 6. Then we can look to 3 Sisters onto the Divine Clerk. And then we're going to play Ornn next turn, copy the Light of Acacia so that he has Overwhelm. Slam in from there. Trying to decide if we want to play a spell in this combat right now. Right, we can flash freeze the Divine Clerk. I think we do. And then we'll re-equip the Jax. I think we want the Light of Acacia on Jax so that he has the quick attack. I mean, he might have enough stats to not really need it. It's interesting. If he gets up to 6 of health, right? He'll be equipped. The Combat Coke will be equipped. Ornn will be equipped. He gets up to 6 health. Then we can look to get either a mana back or... Well, the combat reel's just so big at this point. Okay. We're not going to get to put Overwhelm onto Ornn this way, though.
Name's Ornn. No further pleasantries needed.
We'll just take the quick attack. It's the safer option here. And then the thing I'm kind of looking at for next turn is we do have double parts made whole, so we can sneak some stuff onto the board. We're going to get domed by a Zolani if he actually has it. That's the kind of scary thing about this angle that we've taken. Now that he stops and thinks forever, it's clear that he's back. So at this point, we'll just... God, I hate this spot so much. It's like if we attack with just Ornn, he gets to block with Zolani, but if we attack with everybody, we don't have enough for lethal, and then he gets to flip. So we'll see. If we can keep the Zolani from flipping, we might be okay. No, we're not okay. we're not okay. That would have been a big argument to have not played that 3 Sisters on the last turn, is to save it for the Zolani there. Maybe that was our mistake, is giving up our interactivity, but I thought we were going to be able to win the game that turn. And that 3 health was kind of a critical point there. But then we messed it up anyways and didn't put Overwhelm on our Ornn. That's tough. That is a very interesting sequence to go back and look at again. Alright, but into this one, you're not typically happy to be starting with Jax up against Karma Sett. Right? You don't want to just drop Jax on the board and they're like, oh, well, I got a Mystic Shot. And so he's not the ideal early play, but he's better than no play. And we have picked up some answers for him. We have the catch, we have the secondary Jax, and so he might get to do something this round. I'm going to go ahead and play him. I'd like to see opponents spend some mana and try and deal damage to our Jax here that we can kind of counterspell with the catch. And I don't want to be in this spot to where we go into next turn, we draw another unit, and then we just have Jax in hand and we can't get 2 units onto the board. And so I think he's a safe enough play now, especially with this catch. Now we'll see if any friends turn up. They don't. Bit unfortunate. Just bank up those manas. There's a friend.
Let's get moving.
Always nice to have friends out here. So innovative blacksmith comes in. Might as well just go with the combat reel, right? He's got all these 3/3s on board. He's probably got a bunch of 3/3s in hand. I don't think that there's a lot of opportunity for this unit to combat this stuff. Alright, how about now? Castaway, perfect. So this is an interesting one. It's not a very resilient unit, right? I think we want the Fix him 5000 in this spot so that it just doesn't trade with Reggie. Not super excited about sending the Castaway into the fancier and then only dealing 2 points of damage. This is not looking great. We're a little bit further behind than I'd like to be here. This poor Jax only having us at the 1 damage short of getting the flip. Interesting angle. Okay.
For Acacia! And you know what? Also for me! Ain't no fight I can't win.
Ain't no fight Sett can't win. Let's try and get him off the board. Don't need that nonsense running around. And a tag out. Okay. Very, very big tempo play for us. That's fine. So it's an interesting spot here in the sense that, you know, we can add the apprentice, we can combat reel her. We've got this parts made whole in hand that I'd prefer to just get the unit on board with. I think this is fine. His blocks still aren't very good.
It's nice. Could be nicer.
I hate traffic. I see every move.
And a high note. Okay. I mean, we could have looked to have done the 3 sisters for the +3/+4. It might have been okay, but it just strikes me as, you know, if he has another interactive after that, then we're just so super far behind. Whereas like this, we get a lot of opportunity to just spend mana in a positive way and not be super all in when we're, you know, pretty far away from the lethal. And so I think that that's okay.
Nah, wouldn't want to miss a second of the action.
So he's close to flipping. He's at 10 mana, looking to just entomb onto the Sett. I mean, we didn't really fix our problems from the previous turn of getting this mana out of our hand, but Let's lead off with the Entrancing Lure and see what happens.
Tell me a story about Ornn, Hertha.
Once long ago, he stoked a fire beneath the mountain.
Can we just wait on it? I mean, that's a very real thing. I don't like it. It's just... I think at the end of the day, if he has a deny for this Entomb and then we catch our way out of it, I think that that's okay. And then we do still get to take Ornn down to 1 health as we're about to start making these big attacks next turn. So he's not going to be capable of doing overwhelms and stuff. And Ornn turns up. It's just, it's too much tempo lost to let that actually be a thing. So I'm going to load up the favored artisan. We're going to hook this last dum-dum out of combat.
Hammer, tongs, and
See if this 18-piece nugget isn't enough. Now the thing with this is we now have the 2 7s on board. So he's going to need 2 cards, right? He's got to stop both of our 7s to keep the lethal from coming in. Got it. Bounce him away.
I will tell you of Ornn.
We go ahead and add the Jax. It's unfortunate with Jax getting obliterated in that we lose the Light of Acacia. And then we actually want that Light of Acacia to load up onto Ornn.
Guilty and guilty.
So it's like I'm thinking of putting the spell down and then just equipping over top of it. Now that's such a good combat reel though. Alright. Alright, well here comes the showstopper, am I right? Got that 13 mana locked and loaded. He says, I'm ready to do it. Ready to bring the showstopper right in. Elbow punches and everything. Alright. Well, we're gonna at least make some copies, right? This doesn't feel good. This is pretty scary as far as how this is progressing. You don't really want to be going toe to toe with this Sett, but oh boy,
Heart and mind as one.
we should definitely just be dead at this point.
Ionia speaks through me.
Much different from that previous game with the Sett on board generating showstoppers and now a big card draw. Okay. GG. I'm not gonna wait that one out. That's a different story.
Come on, no round 2? Boo.
How'd we finish here? 4-2. I forgot to update the scoreboard the entirety of the video, but not a bad set of games. And so I feel pretty reasonable with this. I like how this one went compared to the previous one in the sense that the Jinx Kennen deck just feels so much stronger in this format than playing something like Samira Pantheon. And again, like I know that there's a lot of players out there that really like to play decks like Varus and the big brawler style thing. I like them too. It's just I'm not quite good enough with those decks yet to really look to run one of these events with it. And so I think if we just sat around and played like Varus deck and Pantheon decks all the time, I might be able to pick it up fast enough. Or it's kind of a week away from the event. I could really grind hard with that one deck and then still feel kind of okay about it. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of meh on that whole idea, and I really like this Jinx Kennen deck. And so I think that that's where we're going to be taking this moving forward. I felt really good playing the Fizz mirrors. I felt like all of our decks have enough game against Fizz to where we don't have to necessarily ban it. And then as like the kind of control lineups come together and the Karma Sett being out there, I felt like all of our Karma Sett matchups were good enough as well. And so I think that this is probably the lineup that we'll be taking into the Open. And just trying to iterate on it a little bit further as we get ready for that event. And so, yeah, as these decks go, I was looking at a lot of the decks at top 8 of the Mastering Runeterra Open, and that's where a lot of the ideas from this came about, adding in the Winding Lights and cutting down on Zolani's because it doesn't turn up enough. And with this, I was completely happy with everything except the Kayle. There were just way too many spots in these games to where Kayle was just a dead draw. Now, you have to ask yourself the question in the sense that if this Kayle is a Zolani, is the difference coming into play as to where you couldn't drop that Zolani until like turn 7 to make him useful, and then the idea is to where Empowered still works even if you get silenced. I mean, Kayle should be losing all of her attack anyways, but there's some additional advantages to playing Kayle that you don't get out of the Zolani. It's certainly differing kind of units, but at the end of the day, I think I would prefer to just have the Zolanis or just not Kayle. I think Kayle was pretty terrible here. I'm not sure what those high quality players were really enjoying out of this card. Maybe we just drew it too much at bad times, but I'm not particularly happy with her. Otherwise, quite happy with this deck. And then, as we mentioned, over the next few days, I will make a video with Kennen and Jinx. I liked a lot of the things going on with this. Might tweak a number here or there. I need to get some more games under my belt with it, but it was certainly doing a lot of work, and I was quite happy with it. And so that's it. We'll have to watch over the next couple of days, see if the madness around Siren Song calls forth a hotfix to the format. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that that's going to be a thing. I don't think the Siren Song has been too obnoxious to where it can't wait until the normal balance cycle before Riot decides if they want to do something about it. But I think we'll be playing this format as the Open comes up, and I'd be very surprised if it changed before then. But we'll see. Stranger things have happened. And so that is going to do it for us today. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and you had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.